Operation Lockerbie, the hunt for justice on the evening of December 21, 1988, at precisely 1903 local time. Pan Am Flight 103, a Boeing 747 en route from London to New York, lost all radio contact over southern Scotland. Moments later, radar returns showed the aircraft disintegrating in mid-air. Wreckage and bodies rained down on the town of Lockerbie, as if the sky itself had unleashed a deadly storm. All 259 passengers and crew aboard the plane, along with 11 local residents, were killed instantly. The world watched in horror as the tragedy unfolded, a catastrophic event that would soon reveal itself to be far more than an accident. Within hours, investigators from the UK's Air Accidents Investigation Branch, AAIB, secured the crash site, an expansive area of 845 square miles, beginning the meticulous task of reconstructing the events that led to this devastation. The recovery of the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder quickly indicated a shocking reality. This was not a mechanical failure, but a deliberate act of sabotage. By December 23rd, forensic teams at RAF Lockerbie had identified fragments of a shredded Samsonite suitcase, burned and mangled beyond recognition. Tests for explosive residue confirmed the presence of Semtex-H, transforming the investigation from an air disaster into a high-stakes mass homicide case, later codenamed Operation Lockerbie. Every fragment of debris became a clue, every minute detail a potential lead. The suitcase, seemingly innocuous, contained the fingerprints of a meticulously planned attack. Tracing the batch number of the explosives led investigators directly to Libya, confirming that the destruction had been deliberate and orchestrated. The world now faced a chilling realization. A carefully constructed international operation had claimed hundreds of innocent lives, and those responsible were about to face an unprecedented global manhunt. The investigation quickly evolved into a massive multinational effort. The Dumfries and Galloway Constabulary, the Scottish Crown Office, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, collaborated to uncover the perpetrators. Their objective was precise: identify who planted the bomb and determine how it bypassed airport security systems undetected. Microscopic forensic analysis became the cornerstone of the inquiry. A minuscule fragment of an electronic circuit board, smaller than a fingernail, was recovered from the suitcase. It was identified as part of MST-13 electronic timer, manufactured by Swiss firm Mebo AG. Company records revealed that these timers had been sold exclusively to two Libyan entities, the Libyan Arab Airlines and the Libyan Intelligence Service. Further investigation traced clothing fragments from the suitcase to a shop in Malta. Investigators mapped the bomb's route, placed on an Air Malta flight to Frankfurt, transferred to Pan Am 103 in Frankfurt, and then moved through London Heathrow before reaching its final destination. The trail led directly to Libyan intelligence operatives, highlighting two primary suspects: Abdel Besset Ali al-Megrahi, head of airline security for Libyan Arab Airlines, and Lamin Khalifa Fima, former station manager of the airline in Malta. Their roles provided both motive and means. Al-Megrahi's position allowed him to circumvent security protocols, while Fima's responsibilities in Malta gave him access to the initial flight route. Reconstructing the movements of the suspects in a country with no extradition treaty required painstaking work. Swiss authorities confirmed that al-Megrahi had visited Mebo AG and received training on the MST-13 timers. Maltese shopkeeper Tony Gassi identified al-Megrahi as the man who purchased clothing linked to the bomb. Meanwhile, analysis of a diary entry from Fima indicated his direct involvement in handling the Air Malta baggage tag on December 20, 1988. Surveillance of Libyan intelligence networks across Europe provided circumstantial links, while the coordination of travel and operational behavior offered crucial insights into the planning of the attack. For 9 years, the case remained stalled as diplomatic negotiations failed to compel Libya to surrender the suspects. United Nations sanctions imposed economic and political pressure, yet the full apprehension of those responsible required patience, legal maneuvering, and international collaboration. Every witness testimony, every document, and every piece of circumstantial evidence became a vital component of the meticulous puzzle that had to be solved to bring justice for the victims of Lockerbie. The operation demonstrated that international terrorism could not only target civilians anywhere in the world, but also evade immediate detection. Only through comprehensive forensic science, intelligence cooperation, and unwavering determination could the architects of such a tragedy be identified and held accountable. Operation Lockerbie, from the moment the suitcase was discovered to the intricate mapping of global intelligence networks, became a defining example of a coordinated international manhunt designed to ensure that justice, no matter how delayed, would eventually be served. After the extensive analysis of debris, blast signatures, and forensic evidence from Lockerbie, the moment had finally arrived to begin the true manhunt. The targets were now unmistakably identified: Abdel Basit Ali al-Megrahi and Lamin Khalifa Fhimma. But the real challenge lay in the fact that both suspects were deep inside Libya, far beyond the reach of British or American extradition treaties. This single fact stretched the operation across Europe and the Mediterranean, turning every minor clue into a critical lead. Intelligence teams established their strategy on one principle: no detail is too small to matter. Swiss authorities provided business records from Mebo Ag, confirming Megrahi's presence at the company and his training on MST-13 timers. In Malta, shop owner Tony Gossi identified the clothing fragments recovered from the shattered Samsonite suitcase fragments that directly linked to a purchase made by a man resembling Megrahi. Each small clue quietly unveiled a larger network. Surveillance operations expanded into Rome, London, Frankfurt, and Valletta. Each movement, every meeting, every travel segment was logged with precision. A simple phrase written in Fhimma's diary on December 20th, 1988, "Take tag from Air Malta," became a guiding beacon. Ordinary words to anyone else, but to intelligence officers, it was a loaded signal. The mission was clear: to map every behavior, every contact, and every vulnerability of the suspects. Field officers blended into city crowds like shadows, sitting in cafes, riding trams, observing hotels, civilians on the outside, intelligence collectors underneath. Their eyes missed nothing. This operation was far more than surveillance. It was a game of patience and intelligence. A silent chess match where one wrong move could destroy years of groundwork. Every intercepted call, every financial trace, every travel document was analyzed and fed back into an evolving intelligence matrix. Legal teams worked in parallel, building a case strong enough to withstand any international courtroom. Piece by piece, links emerged. Megrahi's technical training, Fhimma's movements, Swiss manufacturing logs, Maltese clothing purchases, all combined to form a clear map of responsibility. Yet even after 7 years of relentless intelligence work, progress was slowed by politics. Diplomatic pressure mounted, but Libya refused to hand over the suspects, sheltering them under its national protection. Still, the agencies never lost momentum. Every sunrise meant new reports, new shadowed meetings, new cross-checks of timelines and identities. The goal never changed: to prepare for the moment when the suspects could finally be brought before the world and held accountable. This phase of the operation represented the unseen backbone of intelligence work: patience, precision, and silent persistence. The hunt had begun long ago, but now the net was tightening, and the world would eventually learn that sometimes justice does not roar. It advances one small clue at a time until the truth becomes impossible to escape. The final operation and its aftermath. After 7 long years of relentless surveillance, painstaking investigations, and meticulous intelligence gathering, the operation that had begun with the catastrophic bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 was finally approaching its conclusion. The international manhunt for the perpetrators had stretched across borders, spanning Europe, North Africa, and the Mediterranean, engaging countless law enforcement officers, intelligence operatives, and legal experts. Every thread of information, every witness statement, and every fragment of evidence painstakingly collected over the years had contributed to a growing, intricate puzzle that needed to be pieced together with precision. Yet despite all the painstaking efforts, the operation was far from conventional. This was not a military strike, nor an immediate act of retaliation. This was a carefully calibrated diplomatic and judicial mission designed to ensure accountability while adhering to the rule of law. In 1998, after years of diplomatic stalemates and mounting international pressure, Libya's leader, Muammar Gaddafi, proposed a solution. The two primary suspects, Abdel Basset Ali al-Megrahi and Lamin Khalifa, Fima, would stand trial under Scottish law, but crucially in a neutral location outside of the United Kingdom. The UK, the United States, and the Netherlands agreed to this unprecedented arrangement. A former United States Air Force base in Camp Zeist, the Netherlands, was officially designated as Scottish territory for the duration of the trial. This decision was a diplomatic masterstroke, balancing the need for legal legitimacy with the practical challenges of extradition and international law. On April 5, 1999, after years of covert surveillance and painstaking documentation of their movements, al-Megrahi and Fima were handed over to a United Nations official and securely transported to Camp Zeist. The transfer itself was tightly coordinated, with international observers and security teams ensuring that no incidents could disrupt the carefully orchestrated handover. By May 3, 2000, the trial had officially begun before a panel of 3 Scottish judges, marking one of the most complex international criminal proceedings of the late 20th century. The prosecution presented a meticulously compiled case, drawing upon the efforts of multiple countries and intelligence agencies over nearly a decade. Over 230 witnesses were called to testify, and more than 10,000 pages of evidence were submitted, including forensic analysis of the MST-13 timer fragment, the Maltese clothing purchase linked to the suitcase, and extensive travel records tracing the suspect's movements. Every detail, no matter how minor, was essential. The timing of flights, the purchase of innocuous items, and the patterns of behavior all helped to reconstruct the sequence of events leading up to the tragic explosion over Lockerbie. The trial lasted months, each day filled with legal arguments, forensic demonstrations, and the painstaking cross-examination of witnesses. It was not merely a trial of 2 men. It was a demonstration of the capabilities of international law and coordinated intelligence operations in the pursuit of justice. On January 31, 2001, the court reached its verdict. Abdel Basset Ali al-Megrahi was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment, with a minimum term of 27 years. Lamin Khalifa Fima was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. The judgment provided a form of legal closure, but the broader ramifications of the Lockerbie bombing, its causes, its networks, and its geopolitical impact remain subjects of ongoing analysis and debate. The aftermath of the trial reverberated across the globe. In 2009, al-Megrahi was returned to Libya on compassionate grounds following a terminal cancer diagnosis, and he passed away in 2012. Yet the legacy of the operation endured far beyond individual fates. Families of the victims, who had waited over a decade for justice, experienced a mixture of closure and continued frustration. Legal experts and historians scrutinized the evidence, noting the complexities and imperfections inherent in any case of such magnitude. The operation underscored that international terrorism, particularly in the modern era, creates long-lasting, intricate challenges for law enforcement, diplomacy, and judicial systems alike. This operation also had significant ripple effects on international intelligence, cooperation, and legal frameworks. Governments and agencies learned valuable lessons about the coordination required to track suspects across borders, the importance of maintaining comprehensive forensic evidence, and the necessity of blending covert intelligence work with open legal procedures. The Lockerbie case highlighted how diplomacy, legal innovation, and intelligence could converge to deliver accountability, even when conventional extradition treaties and military options were unavailable. It set precedents for how complex transnational crimes could be prosecuted in neutral jurisdictions, emphasizing that justice can, and often must, transcend borders. Beyond the immediate legal outcomes, the Lockerbie operation influenced global aviation security and counterterrorism protocols. Airlines and governments reassessed baggage handling, security screenings, and international cooperation in passenger profiling and intelligence sharing. The case became a touchstone for policymakers and security agencies, illustrating how the smallest piece of evidence, a fragment of a suitcase, a timer circuit, or a diary entry can provide the key to unraveling large-scale plots. In many ways, the Lockerbie operation symbolized the painstaking, often invisible work of intelligence and law enforcement agencies worldwide. Years of patience, painstaking documentation, and meticulous surveillance had culminated in a legal resolution, proving that covert work, when paired with diplomatic and judicial foresight, could ultimately deliver accountability. Yet, the story also served as a reminder. Achieving justice in the face of international terrorism is neither simple nor immediate. Every clue, every document, every testimony contributed to a broader tapestry of evidence and strategy. Without the quiet dedication of those working behind the scenes, this monumental judicial operation would never have been possible. The Lockerbie saga continues to resonate today. It is remembered not only for the lives lost in the sky over Scotland, but also for the international cooperation it demanded, the legal and diplomatic innovations it inspired, and the enduring lessons it offered for intelligence, law enforcement, and counterterrorism operations worldwide. It demonstrates that even in the face of tragedy, with meticulous planning, patience, and adherence to the rule of law, justice is achievable, though often delayed and complex. Disclaimer: this content is based on historical and documentary sources. It is intended solely for educational and informational purposes and does not take a biased stance or make allegations against any country, organization, or individual. Public engagement message: if you are watching this video, let us know in the comments where you are viewing from. Subscribe to our channel to explore more historical espionage and intelligence stories, and make sure to hit the bell icon so that every new video reaches you instantly.